Hi, I'm Heidi Johansson, and this is Galas and Giving Shaw TV Spotlight on local charity events. The Edmonton Marriott at the River Cree Resort and Casino is host to this inaugural In Her Shoes Gala, where we are raising awareness, hope, and healing for those suffering from domestic violence and abuse. Powerful stories, special guests, and a lively evening await, so make sure you stay with us.
We're going to mentor, we're going to bring people together and let people know, don't live in shame. We're survivors.
When two powerful women join forces, the result is this one-of-a-kind event. Exhibiting strength, influence, and commitment for change, Lisa Ground and her daughter Ashley Collingbow Burnham are the future, a sentiment shared by Enoch Cree Nation Chief.
7 generations defined is going to be by women going forward, and Ashley and her mom are really kicking off that next generation with a lot of leadership, and I'm very proud of them. So tonight's their night, and it's just so important for me to give back any way I can and with their leadership.
And this bright future starts with an open and honest dialogue.
They have those tough conversations. They really do. They leave it all in the open, and that's what's going to get us to the next step. You know, when we talk about reconciliation with First Nations, it starts right here. And those women showed tonight that they've reconciled within themselves, they've forgiven themselves, they walk a red road, they've acknowledged their hardships and they're moving on. And it's just such a great message for other young women who are struggling in the communities as well to take forward that it starts right here. And if you can believe in yourself like they have, then we're going to succeed as a people going forward.
Ambassador of the Mrs. North American Globe organization, Lisa Ground has turned her painful past into a dazzling evening of hope and healing.
I was once a woman in need, meaning that I was fleeing domestic violence and abuse with my daughters. It was horrific, and there was police involvement, there was victim services, but when I did flee, there was no place for me to go. All the shelters were full, and now that my life has gotten so much better, things are looking up for me, my children. We want to give back, and we want to make sure those services are there for other women.
Tonight's proceeds are in support of Win House, Edmonton's women's shelter since 1968. So let's take a look at this frontline support network for women and children impacted by domestic violence.
It's been 20-some odd years, and I still feel like it's still going on. There's mental and emotional abuse that is still going on through my head, and it's his voice even though he's not here.
I didn't have a real safe place. I kind of cocooned myself into a bedroom.
You didn't know what to do, you didn't know who to call, you didn't know whether to scream or cry.
And I couldn't get any help from anybody until I ended up on the streets.
The abuse went from 0 to 100 in a matter of days.
The bruises heal, but the memories don't. 25 years later, and I still remember every detail of my mother being hurt in front of me. I remember coming home from school and just hoping and praying that my mother was going to be okay.
Win House often sees women in a very vulnerable state. Could be your sister, your mother, your neighbor, somebody that you work with. If you think yourself or somebody that you know may be impacted by domestic violence, do reach out. There is hope. There is community support.
I finally felt like I had some power back. I don't have to be afraid of anybody anymore.
If you're being abused, violated, or threatened, get help. It doesn't matter who you are, just get help, and you'll be glad you did.
You really need to stand up for yourself and just take it 1 second at a time.
Don't despair, reach out. We're here to help.
Win House is a saving grace. It's not a shelter, it's a home.
Executive Director of Windhouse, Tess Gordy, is here tonight and acknowledges the importance of this cause.
This particular event is especially to recognize Indigenous women who have been lost to domestic violence and abuse. We do serve a high proportion, disproportionate amount of Aboriginal women in our community. Province-wide, over 50%, if you can imagine, are Aboriginal Indigenous women who are fleeing domestic violence. So this money is going to direct supports for those families and hopefully towards prevention of domestic abuses continuing.
A ballroom adorned in red was as equally impactful as the red dress photography project on display, honoring the memory of the 1,181 murdered and missing Indigenous women in our country. Although serious in topic, this was also a night of celebration. Special guests included MC and St. Albert Mayor Honorable Nolan Kraus, attorney Willie Littlechild, and for those of us that remember the 1980s television sitcom Webster, Emmanuel Lewis.
Absolutely.
Sparkle, leather, and satin. Red Shoes stood off to the side, awaiting their debut in the limelight. Members from the Inaugural Cree Nation Council were among the real men who were more than ready to show off their moves for the In Her Shoes dance competition. Volunteers were in abundance, managing the incredible amount and selection of silent auction items. These ladies in red encircled ground throughout the year, sharing one common goal: to make this gala a monumental success.
How I got my volunteers was through all these wonderful networks. So the majority of all my volunteers I didn't know last year, and their passion and their drive and their commitment, they motivated me. And I couldn't believe how they made me enjoy this night when I wanted to get up and do it.
The backing from her community is allowing ground to make and be the difference for women everywhere.
And with our new chief and council, they're a younger generation, but they're really motivated to change and support in community healing. Before, when he got into council, I met with him and I said, we got to work on the community healing, and community healing starts in the home.
We're elated to share that close to $4,000 was raised at this first, but definitely not the last, In Her Shoes Gala. What an exceptional evening, raising much needed awareness for this cause. For more information on how you can support this organization, go to windhouse.org. And if you would like Shaw TV to cover your event, email us at galasandgiving@shaw.ca. From the Edmonton Marriott at the River Cree Resort and Casino, I'm Heidi Johansson.
Hair services for Galas and Giving is sponsored by Raw Beauty Inc. With medical facial aesthetics sponsored by External Affairs Medical Spa. Clothing provided by Simon.